All right, y'all, it's time for an update. I'm here at my photo studio, the Time Machine DTLA. If you don't know, we've been in this space for 3 years. We rent it out on Peerspace hourly for music videos and photo shoots. We've hosted thousands of rentals. Everyone from your local dancer to your B-list music artist has created something amazing here, and it's been such a blessing. But the chapter has come to an end, which is crazy. Our 3-year lease is up, and I will not be renewing it for a couple reasons that I want to explain. Just because if you're thinking about opening a photo studio, I want you to consider these points before you make such a big investment into something that'll ultimately change your life, for the good or the worse. But this has definitely changed my life for the better, and I'm very thankful for it. But let me just explain why I will not be renewing my lease. First of all, the location. We are here in downtown LA in the Fashion District, right on the outskirts of Skid Row. So it gets a little crazy here sometimes. Nothing crazy. I mean, yeah, it gets a little crazy. We have, a music studio as our neighbors right over there, and there's always incidents in the music studio. And I think just for the safety of my team and all of our customers, I don't want to continue to be in this space where, potentially something could happen. And thankfully, in the past 3 years, it hasn't gotten, to the point where we've been involved with anything, but just the location itself, it's not the best place where I want to spend my time. So we're moving on. My goal is to put everything into storage for right now and then find a smaller space in Burbank, closer to where I stay. And that gets into my second point. Downgrading into a smaller space is definitely in the future. Here, our rent, it's about 3,000 square feet. Like, this is just one area right here that I'm in. But there's a whole nother room back there that we also rent out called the Portal, which is a black void. And honestly, this is a lot of space. We have this set here, which doesn't really get used. Random black tunnel there that's not needed because we have that room over there. Like, it's just a lot of space that this whole 3,000 square foot studio could be condensed into half the size, honestly, 1,500 square feet. It really could. There's a whole lot of space over there that's not being used. So all that money I'm still paying for every month though. So my goal, and it's gonna be a little hard because Burbank is more expensive, my goal is to find a space anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 square feet for anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Here the rent is $4,200 with utilities and everything like that, and it grosses anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 a month with Peerspace, which, at the end of the month, after paying my site rep to be here, I'm not left with a lot. And that's fine. That wasn't my reason for opening the studio. I really just wanted a space for myself to create in, and then also other creators to give them an accessible space with a lot of options. And it's definitely fulfilled that purpose. But I am excited to reallocate my time, my resources, both mentally, financially, into the next thing, the next big project, which I will be talking about soon. And then eventually the next space later this year or early next year. And yeah, so we talked about location, talked about rent. It's just a little too high. The point with that is if you open a studio, see, here's why. Here's what happened. My first studio, the rent was $1,750 a month, and it made the same amount, $4,000 to $6,000 a month. And it was great. So I was like, oh, I can get a bigger studio. I can divide it into multiple studios. Well, that's not what I was thinking. I can divide it into multiple sets, and I can charge more, and it'll get rented out way more. But it didn't. It got rented out the same amount as my studio that was only $1,750 a month. So I'm paying, triple the price and making the same amount of gross revenue, right? I thought bigger space meant more income, and that's just not the case. So especially if you're starting out, don't go for the big studio right away, or even on your second one or your third one, unless you really, really have a solid idea. There's some guys out there like my boy Mario. Look into him. He's crushing it with his sets. He goes big. You know what I mean? But if you just want to, get into the space, get a space where you can pay for your rent with your existing income alone, and it will not hurt you if you potentially don't get any rentals. Thankfully, rent has been able to, get paid here through rentals, but that's not always the case, as I've observed the past 3 years and meeting a lot of people that want to open a studio. So make sure you minimize your risk, or you really come in with something hot in a, high demand location, right? All right, talked about location, price, and then also I think these sets are kind of just like, they've done their thing, right? I started moving out a little bit already. They've done their thing. They've hosted literally thousands of rentals, photo shoots, music videos. It's time to move on and, you know, tuck them away. They've had some wear and tear over the years, and, you know, I don't want everybody's videos to start looking the same, right? So it's just time to take these out. And then when I open up another studio, I'm thinking it's honestly just gonna be like a clean blank space with backdrops and lighting, just because it's very versatile. But if I do another themed studio like this, I'm definitely going to do bigger, new and improved versions of what I already have here. So that's the goal with that. And then, so yeah, that's about it. Location, I want to get out of downtown LA, Skid Row, Fashion District. I want to get out of here. The price of the rent is just a little too much for what the gross revenue is doing. And keep in mind, guys, I'm not doing any marketing for the space. That's completely through Peerspace, thankfully. My full-time thing is being a videographer, where thankfully I can pay my rent. Even if I didn't make any rentals, I would be able to pay my rent here just fine. So keep that in mind. And then next, it's just these have hosted thousands and hundreds of rentals. It's time to move on. And that's about it, guys. Like, my landlord is literally the best. I have no problems with him like I did at my first studio. It's just time for the next big thing, the next big project, which I am really excited about and you will be hearing about on this channel. But as far as this specific space, the chapter has come to an end. And if you are thinking of opening a photo studio, 1, minimize your risk. 2, make sure the quality and the idea you have is great. Make sure it's in a high demand market, because it does take a lot of money to open up, and there's a lot of things that you can do with that money. So don't put all of your resources into it. Kind of like I did with this studio. I had $40,000 in the bank. I put every single penny into this studio, and I'm thankful for it. I would not change a thing, but you know, it is a big responsibility. So make sure you're ready for it. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I'll see y'all soon.